Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for the rabbit hole designs. So we have the new release here. I have most of the release. So we have the Scripty birthday stamp set and word die with shadow, and the Scripty hugs stamp set and the word die with shadow. Now each of these stamp sets have words that would go with the die cut word. Like happy has happy looks good on you, happy anniversary, happy everything, happy together, happy we are friends, you make my heart happy, don't worry, be happy. So there's lots of sentiments in each miniature stamp set to go with the coordinating word. We have love, congrats. I think the only single word I don't have is you with the coordinating stamp set, which I do plan on adding to my stash. I love having die cut words, especially with a whole bunch of sentiments I can use with it. And I love how each stamp set has a little tiny stamp with it, like the smiley face with happy and the sun with hello, and these little holding hands for shaped in a heart for the word thanks. So cute. And then we have the Nicole lowercase alpha dies and the B and D, I believe it is, double as the P and Q. They were literally the same exact letter when you flipped them, so it makes your die set cheaper to use them as the opposite letters. And then we have the Nicole upper alpha dies with all those extras, the ampersand, the @ symbol, the number, the hashtag. And moving on to the stencils, we have the mid-century modern stencil, the circle mosaics, the overlapping circles, and the garden trellis. And I will name those. I'll put the names on the screen just in case I got them a little tiny bit wrong. And then we have our itty bitty blending brushes, and I believe I'm saying that wrong as well. Itty bitty bunny blending brushes, maybe. You guys know I'm horrible with names. These things are so cool. They're so tiny, small enough to get into any stencil space, and you can use the containers and ink your color up on the top, or you can hang them up with the string that is hooked to them any way you want. I actually have mine in a little holder I found on Amazon. So I'm starting off with the mid-century modern stencil here. Sorry, can't talk today. And I'm so sorry, guys. I think I'm catching a cold, as it is, as usual. I had the names listed up on the screen for you for the Catherine Puller inks we're using, and I'm just going in a circle on a piece of A2 size Bristol, just around and around until I started with the lightest color in the center, which is shea butter, and then mandarin spice, then peppermint scrub, and then over coffee. And I go back and forth, even though you don't see it, and blend the lines together, which is easy to do when there's a stencil involved. And this is the reveal. I really love the way it turned out, and we're not done with it yet. We'll get back to that. Now I'm going to use the Concord and 9th inks. We have Buttercup, Cranberry, Marmalade, and Wheat. And for this one, I'm using the Circle Mosaic stencil. And I'm just going to ink blend stripes all the way down the stencil. Same thing, a piece of A2 size Bristol smooth cardstock. And this one, I love the way the cranberry looks. But later on, you're going to notice that the color changed slightly because of what I put on top of it. And I have to say, I wasn't sure what was going to happen because I've never used this product before, but I have to say it worked out fairly well. So there's a look at that one. And now we're going to go back and line those stencils back up. And I'm going to use this glass bead gel that I bought at Joann's craft store in the painting section. And I'm going to go over the entire panel with this glass bead gel. And I'm just doing a thin layer of the glass bead gel. And I tried to save some of it. You'll see me wipe the spatula off on the tonic, or on the acrylic block off to the side. And that works for a little bit, but depending on what type of ink you're using underneath, it will tint the gel just like it does with transfer gel and all that good stuff. So I did both panels and I let them dry overnight, and this is how pretty it looks. I'm going to get some close-ups later on. I love the way it looks, just seeing those little tiny glass beads reflected on the color. It's just gorgeous. But you see what I mean about the cranberry. The cranberry ink no longer looks like cranberry, it looks like bright orange. So now we have the panels all done and trimmed down, and we are using Hello on the mid-century modern panel, and we're using Thanks on the circle mosaic panel. And I actually cut Thanks out 3 times with these 3 colors of tonic pearlescent cardstock. And I also cut the Hello out of a gold mirrored cardstock from my stash, and I cut the shadow out of red mirrored cardstock from my stash. And they were just leftover mirrored pieces from like a 6x6 pad from Joann's. And now I'm going to use a red card base with a gold piece as a mat. Totally forgot to cut the center out, guys. I wasted that gold mirrored cardstock. And then we're going to pop this panel here up on foam tape and put it on a black card base all by itself. And now I'm going to use my ruler here just to make sure I lay my thanks words out straight. And I'm going to do the bottom one, then the top, and then center the one in the middle. Sometimes I have a hard time lining them up correctly, but the ruler works pretty well. So, look at that. While those are drying, we're going to stamp a sentiment for the inside of both cards. For Hello, we're going to use the How You Doin' sentiment. And for the thank you card, we're going to use, I can't remember, I used 2 of them. I'm just lining them up here. And we'll find out in a second. Thanks for everything, you're the best. And I don't know if, I believe I showed the powder tool and probably looked away when it was on the screen. But that embossing powder tool is the best tool I have ever used for heat embossing, hands down. And I did not show you how to put it together or anything because I'm going to have a separate video on the Rabbit Hole Designs channel for you with a tutorial of how to do all of that. We're going to go through the little pamphlet that goes with it and everything. So stay tuned for that as well. And those 2 cards are done. And now we're going to move to a 3rd card, a slimline card. And I already have the entire panel covered in Tranquil, very light blue from Catherine Pooler. And then we're going to go in with the Cove blue, I believe it is. Now I'm not inking up this entire panel. I'm just using, kind of going with the overlapping circles diagonally down to a certain point and then leading it off the edge of the panel. And then we're going to line up the stencil. I don't quite know how to say that. I'm going to put it in a different spot so it goes from off the right edge there and then down to the bottom left corner. And I was able to maneuver it so that it looks like it's lined up fairly well, but you don't really notice that it doesn't exactly match the overlapping circles where it meets. And I didn't want to cover the whole panel. I wanted to see how it would look like this, and I actually liked the way it turned out. So now I have both the words love and hugs. I die cut those out, and also the ampersand from the upper alpha dies. And now I'm going around the entire edge of the panel with serenade, which was a waste of time, as you'll see in a second. I also used a serenade on the piece of cardstock that I cut the words out of. And now we're going to use Tonic Nouveau silver bullion gilding flakes. So I'm going to put two-way glue on all of the words on the top and let it dry till it's tacky. And then we're going to do that all the way around the edge of the card as well. Now I thought that I laid the glue down on the edge of the card panel all the way around, thin enough where you would still see the purple. You can still kind of see it, but the silver detracts from it, so it's not as noticeable, so we're going to correct that in a second. So now I'm just going to lay down my gilding flakes. Don't use the tweezers, they don't work. Just lay it on there with your finger. And don't use a silicone mat if you don't want to scrub it clean afterwards. I would have been better off using the glass mat when I did this. So I'm just laying them down all the way around. And then I'm going to burnish them in with my finger. I had my, look at every video I'm forgetting a word or a name for something, guys. I had my bone folder, my Teflon bone folder, but I decided to go with my finger and it worked just fine. And now I'm brushing off all the excess gilding flakes, and there's our panel there. I'm going to set it off to the side, and I'm just showing you here that I very quickly did all the words. And that's what it looks like there. And I didn't make sure that the glue covered the entire front, so if there's a little bit of purple shining through, that's what I wanted. I wish a little bit more had shown through. Here I took a very light piece of purple cardstock and went over it with the Serenade again, so I could get that same look that I was trying to achieve with the first panel. And now it's just slightly behind the front panel, but you can still see the purple. I used that same purple, the Serenade, on a piece of cardstock, and here's the powder tool. I'm going to powder that up really well, and I chose my sentiment. And I'm going to ink that up with the Versamark and go over it with Nouveau Silver embossing powder. And it says sending long distance and then love and hugs. So I'm just going to glue the words down here and try to keep them as straight as I possibly can. And I did the same thing here. I glued love up above and hugs below, and then I centered my ampersand. Such a cute looking ampersand too. I love the way it flows with its curves. And now we have the sentiment popped up on foam tape. And I'm just going to offset that to the left up above the die cut words. And I'm going to put some pretty pale purple jewels on here, scattered up the left side and up the right side up above the sentiment. And that's it for this video, guys. Stay tuned for more from this release. I think my video will be next week, where we'll think of some more fun things to do with stencils and die cut words. I hope you liked what you saw here today. Do not forget to check out the Rabbit Hole Designs email so you can be aware of new releases and inspiration. And check out the Rabbit Hole Designs on Instagram so you can see the DT's inspiration daily. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.